Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing, and it's a cold day today here in Utah. It's the month of May, but it's a little bit on the chillier side, so I have my hoodie on and I'm coming to you from the basement today of my house. And I just wanted to share a tip a couple of tips that I've been thinking about, or some thoughts of a couple of things that I've been thinking about in terms of business. And I keep coming back to the idea that the simple things in business are the most important. You might call them the basics. There's a lot of analogies in sports about mastering the basics and mastering the fundamentals. And that has a lot of truth to it, because if you are really good at the basics and the fundamentals, you are a much better athlete. And I would say the same is true in business. If you can master the simple things, the basics, and be really, really good at those, then that is a huge advantage. And uh, just because the basics are simple doesn't mean that they're easy. I find myself sometimes getting away from the basics and having to bring myself back to the basics. And so I want to share a few tips around that today. And the first thing I've been thinking about is the importance of objectives. So objectives are the goal, it's the strategy, it's the high level thing you want to achieve, it's the destination. And the objectives in any marketing campaign or any website project really should be the driver for everything that happens in that project or campaign. So if you can set a really clear, specific objective and stay true to that objective throughout the process, you're going to be much better off than if you don't. It can be like a guiding star or a guidepost for everything that should follow, and something you can refer back to and kind of ask throughout the process, how am I doing against this objective? Are we meeting the objective, or have we gone astray? Have we fallen off? So usually the objectives are pretty simple. Like for website projects, people usually need a website to accomplish an objective, to solve a problem that they have. And a lot of times that falls into generating sales, generating more leads, or marketing their business. Whatever it is, there's usually one overarching objective you can attribute to that project, and that should be the thing that you focus on. Or for a marketing campaign, the objective might be to generate $1 million in sales from this 1 month marketing campaign promotion that you're going to run. And so you have a number tied to it, and usually there's a date, there's a campaign dates and everything tied to those marketing campaigns. But the objective needs to be clear and it needs to be specific, because the more specific the objective, the better results you're going to get. And it's just easier to understand what the objective is if you make it really simple and clear. Excuse me. So the second thing I've been thinking about goes along with that, and it's has to do with building an audience, or who your audience is. It doesn't have to necessarily be building an audience, but who your audience is. Because if you go back to the website project example, let's say we want to generate more leads, then you have to get into, well, who is the audience that we're trying to market to and trying to reach? So the audience would be things like demographics. So maybe it's males and females age over 30, and they're interested in these things. The more specific you can be here, again, the better. So if you can even tie a name and kind of get a picture of who that person is, it's going to be a lot better for you than if the audience is more nefarious, or if you don't have it all planned out. The same is true with marketing campaigns. The audience really matters, who you target, and it's important to talk to the right audience at the right time with the right message. So if you can nail down who your audience is, then you can give the right message to them. Another way that you could look at this is, some people like to think of them as in why, who, and what. So why is your strategy or objective? who is your audience, and what is the message that you're going to share with them. And so if you can get clear on those three things, on the why you're doing this, on the who you're trying to share this message with, and the what message would be important to them, then you're more likely to reach them. And as you do that, as you get really clear on the objectives, the tactics, to get really clear on the strategy and objectives, the tactics become really clear. So if you're trying to reach an older demographic, Facebook might be the place you want to go to reach them. There are a lot of older people on Facebook right now. A lot of the younger generation is on Instagram or Snapchat or some other social media platform. So as you can get specific with the who, the audience, then you are able to reach them more effectively. And same with the website. As you think about the objective of that website, who is the audience, the target audience for that website, then it becomes a lot easier to create the branding, the fonts, the images that you pick, the colors, all those kind of things become a lot easier to decide because you have a clear objective that you're working to. And then you also have this measuring stick that you can go back and see if it was reaching that objective or not reaching that objective. So I've just been thinking about these two things a lot because they are simple, but a lot of times they get overlooked. And I know that I overlook them a lot of times. And if we can focus on the objective and the audience and at least get those two pieces right, then we are miles ahead of where we would be otherwise. And I think that the challenge is that sometimes those are hard to figure out. Sometimes it's hard to figure out the objective you should focus on and the audience that you're trying to reach. And sometimes you don't know the answer. Sometimes you think you're reaching one audience, but you really, really resonate with a different audience. And that's been somewhat true of the YouTube channel that I have on KDC Marketing. When I first started posting, I wanted to share content about Figma, Wix Studio, and Canva because I really like the different ways that those softwares work. And I feel like they're all really great softwares. And there's a lot of value in using each of those for different things. But as I started posting, it just seems like the audience that I was reaching really latched onto Wix Studio. And so that's what I've created the majority of my content around. I still create a few videos for Figma and Canva, and I actually might create more of those in the future and maybe even other things that I've wanted to do in the past, like marketing or business tips, which is what this video is right now. But I didn't think it was going to be that I didn't think it was going to be that popular creating content around Wix Studio. I had no idea. And it's been really interesting to see the response. And I think it's partly because Wix Studio is a little bit of a difficult platform. There's a learning curve to it. It's a very powerful platform and a really well-built platform if you understand it, but there is a learning curve to it for sure. And sometimes when that happens, then it's a lot harder to get the value out of it that you should. And so they're always making Wix Studio better with new updates and everything. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you can get back to those two things, to the objective, to the audience, and at least be thinking about them and trying to refine them and get better at selecting the right one, then it's going to be a huge advantage for you. And I know that it's been on my mind a lot lately, and I need to get back to what's my objective and who is my audience that I'd like to reach and work with. And it's something that I'm constantly asking myself at the moment. And as I work with clients on their website projects, I'm making sure that we have that really well defined. And it does take some time, and it takes some struggle, and it takes some back and forth. And there's a little bit of it being uncomfortable at times to really figure that out, because I don't think we think deeply about these things. We don't think deeply enough, and we don't usually take the long-term view. It's usually just a short-term thing and then moving on to something else. So take that for what it's worth. Uh, focus on objectives, audience, getting back to the basics. That's really the core of what I've been thinking about, keeping things simple, getting back to the basics, and focusing on the right things. So I hope you guys found this tip helpful. Hopefully I'll be able to share more business tips like this in the future. And I will see you guys in the next video.